Welcome everybody to the X Factor podcast today. Right here on this Tuesday afternoon. For most of you people, at least. Today I'm just gonna go over the WWE draft. I'm gonna talk about some things that, confuse probably like the free agents and all that. But I also wanna give a shout out to AEW for selling 35 tickets in the first day for All In. So I had them going from 60 to 65,000 people. They have a shot to potentially get more, and we're only 3 months away from the pay-per-view. So I want to tell you guys right now that the WWE schedule is coming out May 11th, I believe. And I'm going to be doing my full season predictions right there, May 11th. Once the schedule comes out, I will let everybody know on my Twitter, TikTok, whatever. And if you want to get these updates, follow the TikTok X Factor Sports 420. And if you want to follow the Twitter, it's X Factor MG 5654. So get ready because it's gonna get fun up in here with the predictions. So. But we're going to get right into it here with the WWE draft. I'm going to go over the SmackDown roster first, and I'm going to go over the Raw roster. So I'm going to go over the first pick, Roman Solo, Paul Heyman. That was the first pick of the draft. I think that was the most obvious pick, pretty much, because of the Universal title and all that stuff going right there. I feel like Roman ain't going to leave SmackDown anytime soon. Solo, I feel like he's going to be the enforcer. I feel like once Roman's gone, he's going to take that. He's going to take Roman's throne, and Paul's going to do this. He's going to be with Solo like he was with Roman. And I've been saying this for weeks now. So if I'm right, I'm going to come back right up here and tell you I was right. So, and Paul, Paul's just going to be Solo and Roman's main guy. So, the next pick was a little bit interesting. It was Bianca Belair. I did not know if they were... Me being overthinking the whole situation, I'm like, are they gonna have Rhea and Bianca for the both titles, and unify them? And I'm like, that would not make sense. So probably Rhea would have to get drafted over Raw, and I'll get into that here in a little bit because she did. But so Bianca most likely is gonna be switching the titles with Rhea Ripley, and she'll be the SmackDown Women's Champion. I think it was a great pick. I feel like the blue brand is a lot. I feel like it fits her. And same thing with the next pick here. I feel like Street Profits, they fit the SmackDown brand. I don't feel like they fit the Raw type of brand. I feel like SmackDown's a perfect spot for them. They also got drafted with Bianca. So great to see that there. The next two picks, Edge and Bobby Lashley. Of course, Bobby Lashley has not been on SmackDown since the 2000s, like 2006, around there is when the last time he was actually on, SmackDown as a roster man. And I feel like that fits him. I feel like a lot of guys that went to SmackDown fit SmackDown. I don't know why. I just feel like it does. And then same thing with Edge. He goes over to SmackDown. I feel like that's where he's gonna finish his career off right there is SmackDown. So. Great picks for them. AJ Styles, Michin, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows, the OC, were the next pick. And I love that they're mentioning them as a faction because it brings more to the table for more rivalries, especially with the OC. And I feel like they had Luke Gallows. I feel like they had plans for Gallows and Anderson and Michin up until AJ Styles got hurt, and then they just dropped because they didn't know what they were gonna do, because I think they had something built with AJ Styles going for WrestleMania and all that stuff. So, otherwise they're back. I hope they get a big push like they did back in 2016. I hope Michin gets the push she really deserves on the women's roster side. So it's gonna be great to see that. Next pick was Damage Control. I thought they were gonna split them up, but they did not. So I feel like that's going to be... I feel like they're going to do the same thing here, what they did with Legacy. and pretty much have them all in a triple threat down the road, probably SummerSlam around there, where they all fight each other because they all don't get along. Or, you know, Dakota Kai and Io Sky, they team up together to face Bayley and like a mystery opponent or whatever. And I can't say Sasha because I don't think Mercedes Moné is coming back to WWE. So I don't know what they're gonna do there. I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do. So it's gonna be some fun stuff there. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. I thought was a very interesting pick over the likes of Grayson Waller, Tyler Bate, Ilya Dragunov, over the likes of them guys. I like the pick. I was very confused because of the Katana Chance and Kaden Carter challenged him to a match this week on NXT. But it got more interesting once Raw happens, so I will get into that here in a little bit. But great picks. Hit Row was some of these picks were from the SmackDown Lowdown show. So Hit Row, Lacey Evans were the two teams that were, or the two draft picks from not televised. I feel Hit Row, I feel like they need to bring in another guy. I feel like a Cedric Alexander could potentially fit their style. I just feel like, they need their swerve. They don't have their swerve now, but when they did, they were really good. And now I feel like they need a swerve now. So, probably get someone like a Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. Hell, anyone. Omos, potentially. I don't know. I'm just throwing out random people at this point, but I feel like Hit Row needs that big splash because they have been one of the worst people that Triple H has signed so far. So, and Lacey Evans, I don't see what the big problem is with Lacey Evans. I liked the gimmick she had coming back, but then they just kept throwing stuff at her, pretty much changing everything. So I don't really know. So, night 2, which was the first 2 picks were Theory and Flair. Really shocking to see Theory go number 1 for SmackDown. But then again, he is the U.S. champion, so they kind of have to switch around them too. So, and Theory, like I said, he's one of the guys I feel like that would fit SmackDown just perfectly. And Charlotte, well, she fits Raw, SmackDown, NXT, anywhere you want to put her. So, the Usos and the LWO all got drafted after that. I don't know why we all got over exaggerated about the Usos going to Raw, even though they're just gonna go right back to SmackDown. So, I feel like for the Bloodline storyline, it wouldn't make sense for the Usos to go to Raw unless Roman wants them to build themselves back up. But I feel with Sami and Kevin getting drafted over to Raw, I feel like that leaves it open for the SmackDown titles to come back to SmackDown. And they said they want to bring branded exclusive events. Let's say Backlash would be just for SmackDown or Raw or whatever. I feel like that's where WWE's at high. I feel like that's where WWE's at their best, is when they do stuff like that. You noticed it from 2016. You noticed it in the Ruthless Aggression era. That's when I feel WWE was at their best, when they had branded exclusive pay-per-views, and when they were brand splitted. No coming forward to each other unless it was for a storyline's sake or for a Survivor Series sake. So, I feel like that's what they should do. Same thing with the women's tag titles. I feel like they should just take those off, or put a SmackDown tag titles for women on SmackDown, but I really feel like they should change them to mid-card titles. Since there's 2 titles, one will be a U.S. title, one will be the Intercontinental title. And if I was doing that, I would put Raquel as the Intercontinental champion, I'd put Liv Morgan as the U.S. champion. So, that's just what I think, so. Next pick was Asuka. Really good pick. She's going to fit the SmackDown brand. Going to try to go after Bianca again, which I feel like we should get again. But Brawling Brutes with Sheamus got picked here. I really thought Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes were going to go to SmackDown, but hey, we didn't get it, but I have a feeling we might get Bloodline for Brawling Brutes sometime down in the future. Karrion Kross, LA Knight were the next two picks. I was really upset about Karrion Kross getting drafted there to SmackDown because of what they're doing with Shinsuke. And I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like the backstage promo Kross had a couple weeks ago with the smoke and everything backstage. I feel like that was his best promo he's had since returning. I've been high on Karrion Kross because I just want him to succeed, become what he was in NXT and everything. But that was the best promo. I really got chills. I really got some vibes that this is gonna be some pretty good stuff for Kross and Shinsuke. Maybe they do this thing where they do a trade Cody Rhodes, Karrion Kross swipe thing, and we get Shinsuke and Kross down the line. But I feel like that was the wrong decision putting Karrion Kross on SmackDown. And then, LA Knight, the megastar. Yeah. I love that they, I would rather prefer him to be on Raw to go after the world title, get a chance at actually getting a world championship. Did not happen, but I do feel that it does open a wider range for him to go after the U.S. title, potentially. And LA Knight could still go over to Raw if he wins Money in the Bank and cash in the Money in the Bank to against whoever wins the world title, which I think will be Seth Rollins. LA Knight, Seth Rollins, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes. Perfect match rivalry right there. So yeah, that was pretty good. So next picks, Shotzi and Pretty Deadly. Shotzi, kind of an underrated pick because not many people see her as much of a mega star. But I feel like she needs to get more work in. I'm not saying she doesn't put the work in. I feel like she needs to get more training wise because there have been times last year where she looked not that good. And I don't know if it's because of the people around her or what, but that's just pretty much what I think. And then Pretty Deadly, I was really excited seeing Pretty Deadly getting drafted, but I would rather prefer them on Raw because in my head, and I do this all the time, I put in these fantasy bookings. And then when they don't go my way, I'm like, damn, that really disappoints me. And this one really got me going here because I had Seth Rollins, Pretty Deadly together as a tag team. And I thought that would be the best thing ever. I know Seth Rollins had a faction a couple years ago, did not go as planned. But I feel like him and Pretty Deadly, how they dress and everything, as heels and everything, it would just blow the roof off everything else. So, either way, I think Pretty Deadly is going to be future tag champions. And the next year, I'm going to call it right now, they're going to be tag champions in the next year. So, Rick Boogs and Tamina were drafted. Like I said, two another underrated picks. Don't get really shown much, but Rick Boogs, we all love Rick Boogs. And Tamina, we haven't seen her in months unless it's the main event stuff. So, and then the next two picks were NXT call-ups. And they're going to be going to the moon with Cameron Grimes and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller being the last pick in the draft really shocked me because I thought he could go over a lot of the guys that were picked ahead of him, Indus Sher, Odyssey Jones. And no disrespect to those guys, but over the last year, Grayson Waller has proved why he is one of the top NXT stars and probably one of the best NXT heels over the last couple of years since the prime NXT went away. So that's pretty much that there. And then Cameron Grimes, I feel you already know, to the moon. I'm gonna love seeing that. Hopefully we get an LA Knight Cameron Grimes rivalry down the road. So now I'm gonna go over the Monday Night Raw roster and their picks. This is a little bit of a longer roster because they're a 3-hour show, of course. So first pick, Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley, Cody Rhodes were the first two picks. And like I said, Rhea Ripley, since she did get drafted, I feel like they're going to switch titles and Rhea will be the Raw Women's Champion. And I think that fits because I don't think they want to put Judgment Day on SmackDown. Because Judgment Day put on pretty long promos. And when you have a 2-hour show, it doesn't really fit your style a little bit. So I feel putting Judgment Day over on Raw would do great because, during that third hour, you really need to fill in some things, and boom, Judgment Day doing like a 5 to 8 minute promo would be great. So, next pick, and then Cody Rhodes. I was really disappointed seeing Cody Rhodes go to Raw because, finishing his story, and I feel and I already said I don't think the world title is a consolation prize, but if Cody Rhodes wins the world title, it's really going to make it feel like it is, but it's really not. I feel like Seth Rollins should win the title and thrive off that, and then potentially get a Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins down the road, maybe Survivor Series or whatever. So, Becky Lynch and Imperium were the next two picks. Imperium, love seeing them go to Raw. I feel like we can now get, and I feel like a lot of Europeans going over to Raw is going to be great. Like, out of, like, international superstars. I feel like we can really get those, 15, 20-minute matches from Gunther that I've been waiting for months now. So, like, Gunther, he's had good matches on SmackDown, but like I said, when you have a 2-hour show, that's where it kind of messes everything up. And that's why I feel like SmackDown, and everyone hates these 3-hour shows, but I feel like for Raw and everything, but I feel like the 3-hour shows really fit everything. And, the last hour, they've statistically shown that most kids are asleep by then. So, and that's where they cut in the edgy hour for the third hour of Raw, where they've been talking about, where you get blood, and you cussing like fuck, bitch, all that kind of stuff. It's like, what, the 9-year-old has never heard the word bitch before. I was hearing all that shit by the time I was freaking 7, so, half kids nowadays cuss at that age, so, and blood, I feel like everyone's seen blood before, and especially if you watch AEW, so I feel like SmackDown, I feel like they should either go to 2.5 hours, just to fit that mold for, like, if you need, like, a match to go, like, 20 minutes, boom, you got that extra 30 minutes right there. Or go to another 3-hour. It's gonna mess up AEW Rampage ratings, because even though they have been in dirt for a while now, but that's that. Next picks, Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre. Matt Riddle, love seeing RVD pick him with that pick. And then Drew McIntyre, everyone thinking he was leaving, but that is not the case there. And him and Gunther could potentially a 20-minute match on Raw, maybe. So, let's see. So the next picks, Miz, Shinsuke. A lot of people were upset. I've seen some people upset that Miz went before a lot of guys. But I feel like Miz going back to where the Intercontinental title is, maybe we could potentially see another Miz Intercontinental title run. Something I've been wanting to see for a while now. I feel like Miz needs that rebuild. And I feel like him with the Intercontinental title, that's where Miz is at his best. So, and then Shinsuke, like I said, with Karrion Kross, really upset about them two splitting up and all that. So, Indy Hartwell, the NXT Women's Champion, got drafted to Monday Night Raw, another NXT Champion going away. And I do think she'll have to vacate the title. And not just because of that. If you've seen her, I've seen on social media, her foot looks bad. If you guys have not known, watch NXT, she got hurt on an episode of NXT. And it wasn't really a botched move. She just fell. They pretty much just landed wrong and everything. So I feel like once she heals up, she'll be ready and everything. So Viking Raiders, Dexter Lumis, and Candice LeRae, Maximum Models, Natalia, Apollo Crews. We're all non-televised picks. Viking Raiders, I feel, I know a lot of people don't really, like the Viking Raiders. They're not feeling like the vibe for them guys. And I don't really either, so I'm not going to lie to you. I think they should go to NXT and try to rebuild themselves. Because I feel like with NXT crowds, they could really work, so. And when you don't get crowd reactions in NXT, you're doing something bad, so. And then Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, The Way, becoming more of a thing now. So, and then Gargano got drafted on Raw the other last night. So, great picks there. Maximum Models, love going them. Seeing on Raw. Natalia, love to see her on Raw. Apollo Crews called up once again. He will be going to Raw this time, not SmackDown. Hopefully, they actually have some stuff for him to do, and we'll see. Sonya Deville, Chelsea Green, another Raw draft picks. Really good picks. Underrated in my opinion. And then Zoe Stark and JD McDonough were the two NXT call-ups. And that's where you get JD McDonough versus Gunther down the road, McIntyre, whatever. And Zoe Stark, I feel like she's going to be up in that women's main event scene in like 5 months. Maybe even 3 months in that matter. She's going to get pushed up to the moon, I have a feeling. So, and then the next night, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Judgment Day were all the first 3 picks. Seth Rollins, obvious number 1 pick. Sami and Kevin, obvious 2 picks. And then Judgment Day, obvious the 3rd picks. Love seeing all them right there, Raw. Seth Rollins, you get them 20-minute bangers. Kevin and Sami, I feel like they fit that Raw mold, and it gets them away from the bloodline business and all that. And then Judgment Day, of course, with Rhea. So, New Day and Trish Stratus were the next 2 picks, and they did not say Big E, so I am 90% sure that Big E is not on his return way yet. Kofi potentially is, because did get drafted. So, and I did hear rumors about something with Big E and New Day with Imperium. And now that New Day's going to Raw, so is Imperium, we could potentially now see it in maybe a Big E return matchup. So, and then Trish Stratus, I feel that was not really a pick that didn't really need to be made that early, because she's only going to be there for a couple months and then she's pretty much done. So, I feel like she's just going to finish up the Becky Lynch rivalry and then she's done. So, but I do want to see Lita and Trish Stratus match on Raw sometime during that rivalry. So, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Ricochet, and Braun Strowman were the next picks. Shayna and Ronda, perfect tag team. I feel like we definitely deserve a rivalry with them 2 down the road. I feel like that's going to help Ronda's status up a little bit, because everyone hates her. So, and then Ricochet and Braun, of course, a tag team put up randomly together that have been working really well for the last couple months. So it's potential number 1 contenders. I'm just saying potentially number 1 contenders. So, and then Bronson Reed, Alpha Academy, drafted to Raw, and Bronson Reed and Bobby, that's gonna be coming to an end at Backlash. Sad to see it, but that's what it is. And then Alpha Academy, good thing they did not split up Chad Gable and Otis. And I did say a couple weeks ago that I think they should, but after watching them, you can't really. Once they're not there together, it doesn't feel the same anymore. So I'm happy to see them. And plus, they'll be with the Maximum Male Model, so we'll get more of a rivalry with them 2 down the road. And then this is where the NXT Women's Tag Titles get in a weird position here, because Katana Chance, Kaden Carter are now in the match. Or they're now on Raw. Even though they told Alba Fire and Aladon that they weren't going to go up to the main roster with them titles. And while they potentially could go up to the main roster with those titles, I feel like it's either they're going to have to vacate them, or a third team's going to get randomly added, or they're going to challenge them to a match and be like, hey, we want these titles to go after them. But the thing is, there's not really many women tag teams. There's not really any. So it's like maybe Lila Valkyria and Ivy Nile potential. I don't know. Ivy Nile somebody. I don't know. But I feel like Ivy Nile deserves it. So if they can find her a random partner, that'd be good. Some off TV picks here. Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross, Gargano. Those were the picks. Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross. They don't really get shown much, so it's pretty much the main event and stuff for them. Gargano, and people were hating that Gargano was a TV pick, but he was also injured. You don't want to pick guys injured, even though Kofi was injured, he got picked. But it's like me saying, why didn't Randy get drafted? even though the man had a back fusion and he's out for however long. Or why didn't Carmella get drafted, even though she's pregnant? So, and by the way, congratulations to Carmella and Corey Graves and their family. And have a fun time being a mother. So, there you go. So that's my congratulations to them. So, Los Lotharios, Akira Tozawa, Piper Niven, Exile, Tegan Knox, Emma, and Roderick Moss were the next picks. Los Lotharios, haven't seen them in months, but I feel like they need to get more of a push because I kind of like them. So, Akira Tozawa, same Akira Tozawa, nothing new. Piper Niven needs a push. And Exile, Tegan Knox, NXT, that's all I got to really put for them. And then Emma and Riddick Moss, no longer Madcap Moss, so it's gonna be weird saying Riddick Moss now. So, but and them two are now as a couple thing, I guess. And then now you get into it here with some NXT picks, and these were some shocking picks. Indashir and Odyssey Jones those were some shocking picks. Indashir, Jinder just got called down to NXT a couple months ago. And now he's back up with Veer and Saga. And I feel like they're going to be a faction to fuck around with Imperium. Because that's going to be fun. I would love to see that. And Odyssey Jones, he is pretty much the Mark Henry of this generation. You can come at me all you want, AEW stands, whatever you want to call yourselves. But if you watch NXT, if you watch Level Up, Odyssey Jones is what Mark Henry is. It's like if Mark Henry had a long lost son, Odyssey Jones would be right there. Hell, there was a time where he had the same attire as freaking Nation of Domination Mark Henry. So, that's just, I don't know, I just love the pick. I feel like he's going to get a big push and everything, so that's going to be good, so. And then some free agents here. Brock, Omos, Mustafa Ali. Brock I can understand because he's a part-time guy. And, you could put him in any rivalry and it'd work good. But I feel like Brock's time is coming up soon. So, free agent with Brock, in the free agents, let me put this in perspective. If you're a free agent, you can go to Raw or SmackDown. Just whenever you want. Try to build up yourself. And I feel like that's what the free agents is people that WWE does not know what they want to do. People that Triple H and Creative does not know what they want to do with. So they're putting them as free agents, and then they're just going to spit things out on like dark matches or whatever and see, oh, maybe that could work. Oh, maybe that would work. And I feel, and that's pretty much what it is with everyone here. And the only thing that sucks is Dolph Ziggler did not get drafted. But I feel like that's where Dolph Ziggler can build himself back up after he's been pretty much jobbed out for the last year. So, but Brock, understandable. Omos, I can understand just a little bit, even though he's not as much of a star power as Brock Lesnar. But with all the Twitter people, Homo sapiens rise, understandable with that. Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, Dolph should definitely been drafted. I feel like Mustafa Ali and Dolph Ziggler should be as a tag team. And I said this a couple weeks ago, that if they put them in a tag team, I just have this feeling it's going to be the same thing as Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. It's going to be like that. And then they're going to build popularity really high with them too. So I can just see that happening. Baron Corbin makes sense, man. He has been down a roller coaster as of late. Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. Sucks to see them not see him as free agents, but I feel like if put them down in NXT as a tag team, rebuild themselves, get them back up there. And Shelton Benjamin, I feel like you already know he's really good. So, a 20-year veteran. I just feel like they don't know what they want to do with him. So, and then Elias, Von Wagner, Ixon Quinn. Von Wagner and Quinn were interesting ones because I haven't seen Quinn in friggin' months unless you watch Level Up. And Von Wagner, man, he is just there. So, and then Elias, I feel like he's gonna go back. Feel like he's gonna go to SmackDown to be with Rick Boogs because I feel that would be a perfect tag team. Same thing with Mustafa and Dolph. So, That is my draft picks. Those are my draft reactions. Um, and in about a month, I'm gonna so June 2nd, 2023, or maybe after Night of Champions. I am gonna do what I was gonna do a couple weeks ago, and that's gonna go over the rosters, put in like main event status, NXT status, mid card status. I'm gonna put them in statuses, and I was gonna wait to do this until after the draft was done, but now I'm gonna wait until after the first pay per view to see what they're gonna do with everyone. Because I feel like after that first month is when you can really start judging things. Um, so that's where I'm gonna put a status for Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then AEW. I'm gonna do that down the road, but the roster is so damn huge. Try to fit that in with Dynamite reactions and some NFL stuff coming up soon. It's gonna be something there. And I was gonna talk about basketball, baseball, and hockey, but I do watch hockey and baseball sometimes. I do have favorite teams for them, but I'm not like as big as I am for football, wrestling, and basketball. So in basketball, I try to watch all the time, but wrestling and football kind of get in the way with a lot of those things. So, but everyone have a good day. Enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, thank you guys for the 60-some views on the draft draft video I just had. Draft reactions. That was my best video so far. Hoping we can get over 100 views this time. Road to 1,000 subscribers. Y'all enjoy yourself. Live life how you want, and peace out, everybody.